It's time to do another update on the markets, and we'll see what we get out of today. I got something interesting to show you in the charts. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and if Mrs. Claus ever went to jail, I know that she would be okay serving her sentence because she's an independent clause. All right, that joke was for all of my English language arts fans out there. Moving right along, we're going to talk about SPY, QQQ. And their hourly charts actually have something that I think is very interesting and worthwhile to look at, and something that we just want to consider and keep on our minds out there for what could possibly happen, because we want to be ahead on the game of this and prepared for all eventualities. So I will tell you later about my Patreon, where you can see my buys and sells. I will tell you about my options course and about the free stocks from Moomoo. In the meantime, I do want to just say for next week, we have today, 8:30 by the time this thing comes out, and it'll most likely be out. We have personal income and outlays, including PCE data. We'll see if it runs a little bit hot like CPI did, or if it comes in fairly cool. We'll just happen to wait and see. I think that these numbers are actually pretty darn accurate. Core, worst case scenario, I think that we come in at a 0.3. I think that 0.2 is about what we're going to get, though. I don't think that it's going to be something that hugely rattles the markets. We'll find out if I'm right or I'm wrong about that. So let me bring that down, and I'm going to put up the charts for you instead. So let's look, starting with QQQ, to see what we have going on here. And we actually have, going back to where we had these overbought statuses on the RSI, where we can see that we're up over 70, that we did cool off a little bit and drop down below, but the prices kept on rising. Our RSI is actually still sort of declining somewhat, and that actually brings us up to something to just keep in our minds, keep on our charts, and keep watching about for this. Should we cross back down below the 50 here, we could actually have a red day in the markets today or sometime in the near future. Now, that would be something that would cause us to trail off around here, and then maybe we end up around that 403 mark, and then we also have support right around that 405 is also where you should be looking for those two things. So if we bounce off of that 50, though, on an hourly basis, then we can look to the upside on this thing up to 408, and then up past that, we peaked at right around 410, and so I think that we would retest that top. So we do want to watch for that, and that could actually lead to even a double top. But like I said, you want to keep on watching these things, and if you're somebody who actively plays the markets like I do, then you want to be set up for any sort of bullish movement that could happen, and you also want to be on the lookout for any bearish things that could be on the way as well. Like I said, I am cautiously bullish on these markets. I think there's a lot of reason to be cautious, such as, well, let's talk about FedEx for a moment. They came out with guidance that didn't really didn't go along with what the expectation for guidance was. It was a little bit softer than guidance, and then they had a 12% drop. And then we look at Nike. Nike also missed on their forward-looking guidance, that they were soft on it too, and well, that's also a really significant drop. As a matter of fact, take a look at their daily chart just to see where that's at. So right here is where we closed yesterday, and we are all the way down here in the pre-market hours this morning. So that's a $15 drop that we're looking at. So that's over a 10% drop. So about a 12% drop also for Nike then. So watching that take place, and I can't imagine that for those big companies that's not going to have some sort of impact on the markets, and we want to be watching that to see what sort of impact it has, to see how resilient this rally is that we're on right now. I don't think that we're on a risk-on environment. I think that we're more in a cash deployment environment, and I think at any point in time that could shift over to either taking cash back out of the markets or even that flight to safety. I think the more likely of the two would be that flight to safety. So while I remain cautiously bullish, I'm still looking around for those hints and indications that we could possibly reverse course, because if we do, then it's going to be rather profitable on the way down as well, because I'll adjust the positions that I take. So I did want to put that commentary out there, because even for the SPY, when we look at the hourly chart on this, we still have that declining momentum as the prices continue to rise up on us, and we're actually looking at a little bit of bearish divergence. So we want to be watching out, because that can be a sign that we're going to start to plummet and fall off that. I don't know if that would mean today. I don't even know if we're even going to see it, because we could bounce off the 50 and continue that rise and continue this trend upward instead, especially through the last week. Should there be low trading volumes and rather bullish optimism for the markets and bullish sentiment for the markets, that can be something that could actually give us a really good last week of December. I still think that January still has that potential to be good for us. We're going to keep on watching those earnings calls as they come out and look at the guidance that they have, because that can change the sentiment for the market if we get enough bad news from that. Taking a look at NVDA. NVIDIA in the pre-market hours is floating right around that 490 mark. We're seeing the cup and handle start to play out. And I do want to stress, I wanted to emphasize this because I don't know if I did it enough in my last video, that we want to watch for a strong breakout with good volume above this top trend line in order to confirm the pattern that we're seeing. And we can actually adjust this a little bit because it's never going to be exactly perfect where you want to say that that is. What you don't want to do is jump in and get faked out where you're actually hitting resistance and then falling back down, because that would be terrible for us, because that would lead to a double top instead of seeing a cup and handle should we get too deep of retracement for this. So just keep on the lookout for that. We do need to break this top trend line in order to confirm the cup and handle play, and should we do that, as I've mentioned before, this is actually a rather sizable move that we could see, that we could possibly see about a 10% move in that stock price. And that, I gotta say, NVIDIA will move with the markets, and you should be absolutely aware of that. So if the market remains bullish, then NVIDIA remains bullish, and if the market starts to sell off, NVIDIA is also probably going to sell off as the different trading multiples change for us. Even though NVIDIA itself hasn't really changed too much day to day as a company, those prices will as sentiment changes and as it affects the market and big tech. NVIDIA is going to move in sympathy with it. I said that going all the way back to August, and it still remains true today here in December. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I still remain bullish on NVIDIA overall. I still think that they're over a $500 stock easy. And when we do get to a risk on environment, we're going to see it pop 6. So that's how I feel about that. That's what my research says about that. If you want to see that research, find it over at the Patreon. That link is down in the description of this video. And if you want to see all my buys and sells and how I'm playing that market, then go on over, visit me at the Patreon, come on over and join the community. I got a lot of people signing up these past few weeks. The community is really growing. I really look forward to building it out. I got wonderful people over there so far. It's a great atmosphere, and lots of open communication about the markets and about finance, and a lot of people learning about this stuff. I also have my options course over there where you can learn about options and how to amplify your portfolio through the power of options. And I use Moomoo to do my options trading, and you can actually find that link also down in the description. Up to 15 free stocks on qualified deposits and 5.1% on your uninvested cash. So go ahead and check that as well. Let's get back to the charts now, and I'll wrap this thing up for you. So for the charts for NVIDIA, like I said, watch for that top where we break that top of the cup and handle. We want to break that top trend line. If we don't break that trend line to the top, then we don't have a confirmed cup and handle. So just be on the lookout for it. Palantir, I have a short position on this one, and we'll see if we do get it selling off. Right now, we're still below this trend line, and we'll happen to see if it is something. We're watching the RSI on the hourly basis as I have this chart here. Is it going to be something that strongly pops over 50 and holds it? Where is it going to go? Are the prices going to stay beneath this trend line? Because if we get rejected off this trend line, we could possibly head back down. I would like to see it hit 1714 in the near term, and honestly, preferably, I would like to see it go a lot deeper than that. So, whoa, let me actually change tools here. Command Z, perfect. There we go. It'd be absolutely awesome to see it drop back down to 14 in the near term. So for me, all about that short-term volatility for options, because with those options, I then take those profits, put it into my long-term investments, and it does really well for me. So quick update on crypto. So Bitcoin yesterday was actually in a bit of an ascending wedge. I met with one of my my patrons, one of my Discord members, and had a nice chat with him, a student, and I wish him the best of luck. Wants to be a financial analyst. We had a great conversation last night. So we actually had this trend line drawn a little bit differently for us, because it was hours ago, and we're looking at the hourly chart here, that we had a bit more of an ascending triangle pattern happening here, which would be a continuation pattern, but you can see we fell down below that, and right now we're flirting with that 50-period moving average, and the momentum's falling off. So in the short term, it looks like Bitcoin might actually suffer a little bit of pain, and we're going to be watching for that. I still don't think the case is broken for this thing to run up even higher than where we're at right now. $45 to $48 to even $50,000 prior to January the 5th, especially if the market should recover and rally, and we have positive sentiment leaning into that. If we go risk off, Bitcoin's going to suffer that one, regardless of that spot ETF buildup that we have in the price currently, that we wouldn't necessarily get that same pop. Now, mind you, it's different if the spot ETF gets approved. I think that there's going to be a huge price pump with the news of an approval of the spot ETF between January the 5th and January the 10th. If they keep kicking that can down the road and the SEC says not yet, or no, still no is the answer, then I think we're going to see that price plummet. And I think that that could happen leading up to January the 5th, that we end up selling the news and then maybe get a further sell or a further pump depending on what that news happens to be during that time. Ethereum right now still in really good shape. RSI is looking great. Getting that pump, we have around $2,300 per Ethereum. As we look at this, or per ETH, I should say, that's where we're getting rejected. You can see that resistance line held for us so far, and we'll see how that shapes up for us. This is the daily chart that we're looking at. And if we take just a quick look on the hourly basis here, you can see, oh, look at that. Nice little bull pennant shaping up for us. Got into the overbought territory. Needs to cool off a little bit. It is possible that we see that pump coming to Ethereum. And then AVAX. Check this out. So what we had here was a symmetric triangle happening for AVAX. And I said days ago on my channel, I said watch for which side of this we break out, of which trend line, the top or the bottom. That'll tell us more about the direction of it. We ended up breaking out through the top of it, and then you can see the continuation of prices there. And then more recently, after those big volumes that we got, we started to get a dump in that AVAX price. So now we need to keep on looking. Are we going to stay in this bullish channel that we have? If so, we could come down as low as like $40 per AVAX token. When you look at this before rebounding back up again, should we not return all the way back down to the bottom of this, that could be a very bullish sign that we're starting to push on to that price target that I have on here. And I keep on defaulting to my drawing tools. Come on, one more time. There we go. All right, perfect. And that's around $52 per AVAX before I think that we really hit significant resistance on this and start to travel back downward. So that's what I have for you guys. That's what I see coming up in the markets with some of the particular stocks out there and with crypto. If you have any questions, comments, hit me up down in the comments of this video. If you want to see how I'm playing the markets, join my community, see my buys and sells. All of that is available through the Patreon. That link is down in the description as well. Also get access to Moomoo as the wonderful trading platform that it is, and that's where I do my options plays. Absolutely great, up to 15 free stocks. Go ahead and grab those as well. As always, guys, I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.